Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pole. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and FD tuned in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Welcome to another Fish Report Live, our last Fish Report Live, Ken, of the winter sports season, and we take a couple weeks off and get ready for some spring sports. But my name's Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis, back in our sound room, our TK and Heavy D. They're going to be joining us here in just a little bit. And Ken, we got some big interviews tonight, including some breaking news that happened today.
Yes, we do, Craig. Big breaking news today, Craig. The Fort Laramie head football coach, Matt Burgbacher, is recently stepping down. Craig, he is going to become the new head football coach of the Troy Trojans, so we're looking forward. We got a quick interview with Coach Burgbacher here coming up live here just in a few minutes. Talk about his old Fort Laramie program and what he has to look forward to taking on the new Troy job. So also, Craig, we're going to go back in time. We're going to go back 30 years. Everybody knows this guy. Jackson Center, 1985 state championship, Craig. Jeff Teeters hit the shot heard round Ohio, and we're going to be talking live to Mr. Teeters here in just a little bit and asking him about that basketball game, what he remembers, and just all kinds of questions that we're going to throw at him, Craig. We've been wanting to talk to this guy for 30 years when we finally get a chance.
I know I sure have. I remember where I was, and I'm going to tell him that tonight. But
absolutely.
Can't wait to get to that interview. And before we do all that, Ken, a lot to talk about tonight. So little time, so let's get to that trivia question and probably one more basketball question and the winter sports season.
One more basketball question, Craig, and the question is about Jackson Center Tigers and Jeff Teeters. Which Jackson Center Tiger fouled out of the 1985 state championship game that forced Coach Jerry Harmon to put Jeff Teeters into the game, ultimately hitting the game winner? So who fouled out that allowed Jeff Teeters to go in? Was it Keith Dosek, Tony Meyer, Brian Scoggins, or Sean Lenhart?
All right. Well, I think I remember that one. I know two starting guards fouled out. I think I got it down to two there. So I'm going to I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask the Fish Report viewers for a little help out there. So if you're watching us on the Fish Report live page right now, you can scroll down, answer our trivia question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco Cable TV Channel 3, we will have those results for you at the end of the show. Sound good?
All right.
All right. Well, let's get things started, Ken. And again, like you said, breaking news today. Troy got a new football coach, and actually Coach Burgbacher, again, at Fort Laramie, he was selected as Troy's next football coach. He is going to try to rebuild that Troy football program over there. Ken, been a little bit down the last 3 years, 8-22 overall. Coach Burgbacher, pending board approval, again, is going to get that job. He led the Redskins to a 51-18 record and 6 straight playoff appearances since taking over as coach in 2009. He was actually voted AP's Ohio Division VI Coach of the Year in 2011. And all that information courtesy of Robert Billing at topbillingsports.com. And guys, do we have Coach Burgbacher on the phone right now? Still working on him right now. Okay. Well, Ken, like I said, it's big news for Troy. Scott Brewer was over there for the last 3 seasons, and just not working out for him. So Coach Burgbacher hoping to rebuild that program over there.
Absolutely, Craig. He did a phenomenal job at Fort Laramie, Craig. He's been at the helm there for 6 years and just did a great job. Had him in the playoffs almost every year. So, actually, Craig, we got him on the phone right now. And Coach Burgbacher, welcome to Fish Report Live and welcome to our show.
Hey, thanks a lot. I greatly appreciate it.
All right, Coach. Well, first things first, congratulations on the new job. We were just talking about what a successful run you had there at Fort Laramie, playoff appearances in the last 6 straight years, I believe. I guess the big question is, why the move? Why the move to a Division II program coming out of Fort Laramie?
It's completely a professional move. My wife and I, we've talked a lot about it. This has happened so quick, and we were torn what to do. Troy's a great job. I've got a great job here at Fort Laramie. We've got a great community. We've got great kids. We've got great parents. We've got great everything here. but it was just something that I thought I needed to look into. I knew, you know, it was something we had to look into. I owed it to myself professionally. And you know, it kind of took off from there. And, you know, like I said, Troy's got a great program. Fort Laramie, you know, it was kind of a win-win. So I was torn. I wasn't sure what to do. And just a lot of praying and a lot of, you know, soul searching of, you know, let's look 20 years down the line. Let's see what, you know, we kind of forecasted out. So, again, it broke my heart this morning when I met with the football team to tell those kids. I know their hearts were broken. But, you know, like I told them, they're going to live for another 50, 60 years. Hey, and you're going to have some tough decisions to make in your life. And I said, right now I'm living that. And I've got a tough decision to make, and I made it. And you know, it's where we're at now.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about the Troy program. You're taking over a team there that over the last 3 seasons is 8-22. Have you had a chance to talk to some of the players? I'm sure you know things over there. Obviously, it's going to be a rebuilding program. But what's your first order of business taking over that Troy program?
My first order of business, first and foremost, is to go down there and meet the kids. I want to know those kids. I want to get that rapport with those kids, and that takes time. That to build that trust, to build all that stuff, it takes time, and that is my first and foremost order of business. I was down there today after school. I was able to meet some kids in the weight room. They were jacked up. They're excited. They got a coach right now. You know, they want a coach that's going to come down there, get the community back involved, get the alumni back involved, and bring Troy football back to where it once was, back in the Steve Nolan era, and back with, you know, Ryan Brewer. You know, you look at the list, Dielman, you got, you know, Ferguson, you got all those guys that have played at Troy football. Great tradition. They want that tradition back. And that's first and foremost, that's what they want from me. They want me to come down there and do that.
Coach, you mentioned some big names over there at Troy. I want to talk about a couple of the big names that were at Fort Laramie there. Guys like Andy Gruy and Grant Oberding. You had a nice group of seniors there. Let me ask, now that you're leaving, is the cupboard bare for the next coach, or what do they got there to work with now?
Oh, no, absolutely not. We, like I told those kids, I said, you know, I expect them. You know, they got a group. We've got a group here at Laramie coming back that they're going to be stacked. They're going to be, the next coach is going to kind of be like me when I got the job 6 years ago. They've got, you know, we had a great senior class that year, and shoot, we made a run to the regional finals. This team right here, I expect them to make a run at Marion Local next year. You know, that's the type of team we have, or Laramie's got coming back. Great kids coming back, and I'm excited for them. I said, you know what? Usually on Friday nights, you know, obviously I know how our game goes, but the first score I wanted to know was how was Tip City? How'd Tip City do? I said that's Tip City's gone to number 2 now. I said I'm going to find out how Fort Laramie is, and I said once you know the playoffs start, I'm going to be at every game. You know, I'm going to see you there hoisting that state title trophy. And I said the only regret I'm going to have is I wasn't out there with you. I said, but you better believe I'll be up there in the stands watching and cheering you guys on. And you know, again, like I said, this is a surreal, whirlwind, bittersweet situation. I'm very excited for the opportunity that my family and I have, but today I had my heart broken a few times, and you know, just the number of text messages. I got on my email once today, and just the number of emails I had from people here in the community. It was very gratifying, and the support and people understanding, you know, why and stuff. It's kind of indescribable, to be honest with you. It's I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep. I will tell you that, but not sure when that's going to happen.
Well, Coach, I'll tell you what, you know, we wish you the best of luck here on Fish Report in your new job. And, you know, hopefully you can turn that. I'm sure you'll turn that Troy program around. And I'm sure you're looking forward to that first battle with Tip City, because Tip City will be moving into the GWalk North.
Yeah, I tell you what, that my family has reminded me of that in 2016 when when that's going to happen. I said, but hey, that's a long way away. You know, I got time. I did get some text messages from guys from Tip City that were already starting to talk a little smack. So, you know, it's all in good fun. And you know what? That's what competition is. That's what high school sports is. And I'm excited for it. And you know, I appreciate you guys having me on here a few times in the last few years. And I, you know, again, the players here, I got so many text messages from the former players here. And that really means a lot to me. You know, that I meant something to those kids, and I meant something to this program. You know, we're leaving this program. I'm leaving this program in good, you know, in a good state, and I'm just looking for this program here at Lorman to take off.
All right, Coach. Well, again, thank you for joining us tonight, and best of luck. And we hope to see you next fall.
All right, thanks a lot. And if you guys ever need somebody on the Fish Report, don't hesitate to call.
We'll do so. Good luck, Coach.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, that was the new head coach of the Troy Trojans there, Matt Burgbacher. And Ken, yeah, he's going to have Tip City to contend with in 2016, he said. And then also I think that GWalk North is, I believe, Trotwood Madison in that as well. I believe they're in that pretty good team there as well.
Tough conference, Craig, and I'm sure he'll rebuild the program and make Troy football make the fans and the alumni over there proud to be a Troy Trojan football fan again, and he'll rebuild them.
All right, well, let's get ahead to the subject. We want to talk about what's going on right now, and that is basketball, boys and girls both. A lot of local teams that we're still interested in. But let's start out with the girls, and in D3 right now, a game that was, I believe, in progress right now, and a game that's already finished up. Let's check out the standings there.
Craig, top bracket of the girls D3 Southwest Regional saw Cincinnati Summit Country Day victorious tonight over Liberty Union. And the game in progress right now, two local teams, Craig, and that game's got to be getting fairly late. We've got Anna and Versailles doing battle. Is there an update on that game from back here in the sound room?
Yeah, latest we've got on that was just coming out of the halftime. Anna up 32-30 over Versailles. So obviously a close battle there, and probably will be down to the wire.
We actually talked about this game, guys, a couple weeks ago? We were talking about this potential matchup. It did materialize. I actually read an article in the Sydney Daily News tonight that said, kind of wondered why these two teams don't play more often. I believe it said in the last 11 years they maybe only played 5 times, and I think all 5 of those games have been within 4 points, something like that. But it would be nice to see that matchup on more of a regular basis. Yeah,
probably because they don't want to ruin each other's secrets coming because they know they're going to be meeting in the regionals like they always do. So let's look at the girls Division 4 Southwest Regional, Craig. We've got Marion Local and Felicity Franklin, Craig. That game was actually played tonight. Regional semifinal action. Felicity Franklin, Craig, pulls a mild upset there, beating Marion Local by a score 65-62, Craig. Felicity Franklin will wait the winner of tomorrow night's game, Craig, the game that we show a lot of interest in. The Fort Loramie Redskins taking on our Russia Raiders, Craig. That game will tip on 8 o'clock tomorrow night at Tip City High School, Craig. Should be a great game between those two Shelby County League foes.
Well, let's talk about that Fort Loramie Russia game a little bit. You know, Fort Loramie and Russia played twice during the regular season in league play. Fort Loramie won both those matchups, so I imagine they're probably the favorite going into tomorrow night's game, aren't they?
Well, I don't think so much, Craig. Russia's got a big group of seniors here, Craig. They've had an excellent year. They've lost some very close games, Craig, to state-ranked teams all season. They've played Loramie very good twice, Craig. Both times it was a 5-point game and a 2-point game. Actually, the 2-point game over at Fort Loramie, Russia really had them beat that game, left a few buckets slip away right there towards the end. So, Loramie's key is with Jessica Berger. She can really hit the outside shot. She can take the ball to the basket. She had 29 points the other night. So I think the Raiders got to contain Jessica Berger. On the other side of the thing, for the Raiders to be victorious, Craig, they've got to get Maria Heron some open looks and really get the ball inside to their taller girls, Claire Sherman and Kylie Wilson.
Yeah, speaking of Maria Heron, what a game she had this past Saturday. She was hitting shots from all over the place. I think going into halftime, I was sitting in half court in the front row. I think she about stepped on my feet, hitting a bomb there right before the half. But quite a player, isn't she?
Yes, she is, Craig. I've said it all year. She's just a sophomore, but that young lady knows basketball as well as anybody I've seen on the basketball court. She knows when to penetrate. She knows when to kick it out. She knows when to force the action. She knows when not to force the action. So she's a very knowledgeable player of the game, Craig, and that gives her a leg up on every girl out there on the court.
All right, well, Listen, that's going to wrap it up for our girls basketball talk. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some boys basketball, including that big interview with Jackson Center alum Jeff Teeters. You won't want to miss that. Stay there. We'll be right back.
Well, I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to do? You got me acting a fool. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to do? You got me black and blue. I'm digging on you. I've been watching from my window, and I just can't get my eyes off of you, girl. You don't know me, you don't know I'm looking. Oh, how I wish to be part of your world. Well, I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to? You got me acting a fool. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to? You got me black and blue. I'm digging on you. Well, I'm hypnotized by every expression in the way you run your fingers through your hair, which finds romantic, oh, a little bit frightening, to know that you are never, ever alone. Well, I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to? You got me acting a fool. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to? Well,
All right, welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live, everyone. Before the break, Ken, we were talking some girls basketball. Going to switch it over now to boys basketball, and let's get right to things. Start out with Division III up there in the Ada district, and let's check out what we got in the tournament. The district semis coming up.
Craig, in the Ada district, Lima LCC, Lima Central Catholic, taking on Coldwater. Craig, LCC's been ranked top 5 in the state all year. Coldwater's actually, Craig, just a little over 500, but they've had a good year in the MAC, so they play extremely tough competition. Should be a good basketball game. And then we got St. Henry, Liberty Benton in the bottom portion of that bracket. St. Henry, Craig's just got 2 losses all year. One of those was to Russia. The other to Salina when they actually played the Bulldogs shorthanded, Craig. They played that game without Ryan Mikesell and Mitchell Stallman both. So, St. Henry's had a great year. Look for them to advance to the finals there. Would be an interesting matchup in the finals between LCC and St. Henry.
Yeah, LCC ranked number 2 right now in the state, and of course the defending state champions from last year. The winner of that plays the White House District winner, which I look for Ottawa Glandorf to probably get out of that one. They're ranked number 1 there right now. Let's jump ahead though and talk Division IV. Ken, up in Wapak, got one game up there, don't we?
One game left in that district, Craig. Friday night, Marion Local taking on Spencerville. Marion Local survived an upset bid by the New Bremen Cardinals the other night. Spencerville, Craig, they've got a lot of young talent there. I think they start 4 sophomores and a junior. Excellent basketball team. That should be a good game. Winner of that game, Craig, will take on the winner of Jackson Center and Troy Christian.
All right, and speaking of Jackson Center, Troy Christian, let's jump down to Dayton. 3 big games on Thursday, and let's run through them.
3 big games there Thursday night, Craig. The first game of the night is going to be Russia versus Aiken, Craig. That's a rematch of last year's district championship. Aiken will really look to push the tempo. Russia will look to control things similar to what they did last year. I just look for that to be a fantastic game between 2 very athletic teams.
Yeah, last year going into that game, I thought, I just thought Aiken, reading about them, I thought they were the superior team maybe. Of course, Russia won that game. What do you know about Aiken this year?
Well, Craig, Aiken's got 3 excellent players back. They got Cameron Moore, the 6'7" post player. Craig Cameron actually played for Aiken last year, moved down to Florida for a few months, played on a prep academy down there. Well, now he's back in Aiken again, came back about a month ago, so not sure how all those rules work, but maybe Jerry Snodgrass could answer one of them questions for us. But Carleek Jones, another great player, Craig, just a 6-foot guard, but boy, can he shoot it from long range. And Elijah Gordon, Craig, the other post player, he's 6'7", extremely strong and physical inside. So the Raiders are going to be challenged, but look for them to be up to it. They played Aiken very well last year. They beat Aiken, and so good rematch game there, and we'll see what happens.
And then the game after that, Tri-Village goes into that against Georgetown. I assume Tri-Village is the favorite in that.
Tri-Village will be favored in that one, Craig. Georgetown comes in with a very good record. However, their tallest player is just 6'2". Look for Tri-Village really to push the ball inside, and I think the combination of Cook and Linkus there will be just too much for the G-men to handle.
All right, and the last game of the night is Jackson Center, Troy Christian. That's going to be a good one, I would think.
Craig, I've seen Troy Christian play twice. Excellent basketball team. They've got a lot of size. They've got a lot of quickness, a lot of athleticism. I think they're going to have to be the favorite in this one. But look for Coach Elkhart to have his Jackson Center Tigers ready. I've seen Jackson play several times this year. You won't find a better team that'll be play as hard and defensively make you work for absolutely every basket. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Troy Christian's going to really try to push it. Jackson Center, on the other hand, will try to slow the tempo down.
Yeah, you put Gavin Wildermuth on the other team's best player, and you can pretty much figure on that player being shut down for the night.
Pretty much so.
All right, well, those Jackson Center Tigers they've been in the spot before. They made a similar run back in 2012, got to state, didn't quite win at all. The one time they did win state, Ken, back in 1985, I know you remember it, I remember it. I was 13 years old then, and of course, that big shot that Jeff Teeters hit to win the game. I still remember where I was at, sitting in Sydney at some friends of my parents' house, saw that shot. I'll never forget it. And for the viewers out there that don't remember it, I think we got some old video here, don't we?
Yeah, let's look at that video, Craig. And again, like you said, just a shot heard around Ohio in the OHSA 1985 state championship. Here's the missed free throw by Graysville Skyview.
Tied up 61 all there, and Brian Scoggin with that rebound gets it down to Teeters, and he gets rid of it there for a second, doesn't he, Ken?
Over to Lenhart. Lenhart back to Teeters. Teeters going to hit a floater in the lane. Bucket. Game over. The Jackson Center Tigers, the 1985 state championships. I can just hear Dave Ross right now reliving this, and there's Coach Jerry Harmon running over to the floor.
The security guard grabs him and says, quit acting like you just won the state championship there.
Well, Craig, it's an honor for us tonight to not only talk about this event that happened 30 years ago, but to have the guy on the phone, Mr. Jeff Teeters. Welcome to Fish Report Live.
Thanks for inviting me, guys. Always good to be talking about some basketball this time of year.
Hey, listen, this is 30 years. I can't believe it's been 30 years ago. I just told Ken I was 13 years old when this happened. Are we the first one that have brought this up in the past 30 years, or have you been asked about this before?
There have been a few times it's come up over the years. It's fun to always relive the moments, and it's kind of amazing different times that it's come up in business meetings or just all kinds of occasions when people I had no idea who they were, and just the topic found its way to basketball, and people remember that for a variety of reasons. So it's been a good ride since then. I was actually listening to Jeff to ESPN Radio this morning, the Mike and Mike show, and they had Christian Laettner on there of all guys. And Mike Greenberg brought up the Christian Laettner shot against Kentucky to win it. He says, "I'll never forget where I was at," and it just made me think of our interview tonight. I thought the same thing. I said, "I'll never forget where I was at," and I know Ken's the same way. But it was just one of those moments back when you didn't have Twitter reporting every second of a game, and you didn't have video highlights the same night on the internet. So it was a different time and a neat time for sure.
Yes, it was. I'll never forget, Craig. I was sitting in a parking lot at St. Michael's Hall in Fort Laramie listening to the game on my car radio.
Jeff, I want to ask you, those kind of moments, every boy dreams about that, taking a shot like that. And, he does that in his driveway or his backyard or the gym. Did you ever do that kind of thing, dream about taking a shot like that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's either the jump shot in the lane or the free throw to win it all. When I was in 8th grade, actually in the Shelby County Junior High tournament, I had a half-court shot at the buzzer to win one. So I had a very small taste of it earlier, but you always got to go through that, and I think every little kid does. And the last 8 or 10 years when I coached my son in rec ball down here in Cincinnati, we always ended every practice with buzzer beaters.
I want to take you back, if you can remember 30 years ago, I want to take you back to that moment. Do you remember any of your thoughts or your emotions going into the game? I mean, were you nervous? Were you? What were your thoughts or emotions going into the game? Did you want to be there?
Well, absolutely, we wanted to be there, and it was a lot easier for me and my emotions going into that game than a lot of the other guys. We had 13 guys on the roster. I was somewhere around number 8, 9, 10, or 11, depending on the situation. So I had good tickets to a good game, and that was, to be real honest, that's probably the way I was thinking about it as I look back. But we had just come off of some unbelievable games in that tournament. Most people only remember the finals, but leading up to that, we had beaten the Cincinnati Academy of Physical Education. We had beaten Marion Local, which was an outstanding team that year. Had to beat Fort Laramie in the regional finals, and the semifinals was probably the greatest game I ever saw. Columbus Worley. There were 5 or 6 of those guys that ended up going Division I. Their center was a 4-year starter for the Buckeyes, so he went from losing to Jackson Center to playing for the Buckeyes for 4 years. So we were feeling pretty darn good going into that game, but by halftime, when you're down 11 or 13, I forget what it was, the emotions changed.
Jeff, hi, this is Ken Francis. In the days, weeks, years that followed, a lot of people, everybody wanted to talk to you about that shot. Give us a good story or something of reliving the shot, just in your everyday life.
Well, there are a couple of them. One of my favorite stories was just all the things that the people that I had no idea who they were. In the weeks after that, I either show up at school or somehow people would find our home address and just open up the mail, and somebody from Youngstown sent a clipping from the Youngstown paper or the Columbus paper or wherever it was. I think I have every Ohio newspaper article, and the only ones I actually cut out for myself were the ones from the Sydney Daily News. And one day that summer, my mother and I were just out mowing the yard, and a car pulled up, and had no idea who the person was. They got out of the car. They said they were from Sydney, and they said, "Here, we made this for you." And it's a framed, it's a Sydney Daily newspaper, that sports page, that has my picture on it, shooting the shot. They just framed it and brought it. We offered to pay for it. They said, "Nope, we just wanted you to have it." And that's really neat. I think that really says a lot about Shelby County area and just the love of the game. And we all have our rivalries, and they get really intense, but at the end of the day, people really appreciate good basketball and a good story.
Jeff, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now. You went to UD, right? You're a Flyer graduate. Go Flyers.
Absolutely.
And your family, and what you're doing now.
I'm actually in Cincinnati, so after Dayton, I went to law school down here in Cincinnati, and the competitor in me has never died. So I do a lot of litigation on how companies deal with their competitors. So non-compete agreements, trade secrets, antitrust litigation. So it's all about fighting with your competitor.
Hey, Jeff, one more question, and we'll let you go. But I actually talked to a Botkins fan last weekend, and I kind of let it leak that we had you on the show. And he said, "You mean you found him?" I guess I didn't know you were lost. But do you keep in touch with those people back home at all, or do you keep in touch with Jackson Center basketball by any chance?
Yeah, absolutely. Our team has stayed pretty tight ever since. We still have email exchanges and get together every now and then. And certainly, as Jackson's had a couple of good runs since then, all the guys try to make it back and encourage the team and stay in touch with them. And I think the biggest lesson in all this is, obviously we had a great run. We had some really special guys, but at the end of the day, it was working together. And it really is a great story to tell of, it's what every coach wants to teach every kid, and it's what every kid that's not a starter wants to believe is someday I might have a shot.
Well, listen, that's just good stuff, Jeff, and I really appreciate you being on our show tonight. But not only that, but just bringing back the memories of the shot and the way you just described it right there. It teaches every kid to hang in there. You never know when you're going to get your opportunity, and you got yours, and you absolutely made the most of it.
Absolutely. Appreciate the time to spend with you tonight, and obviously good luck to the Tigers in the tournament trail.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, that was Jeff Teeters. Ken waited 30 years to talk to that guy. Finally happened tonight. It's a good night.
Yes, it was. And, I really liked the way he closed things out there about how every coach tries to explain to their kids and their players, that don't get to play a whole lot. And, look what happened to him. And, he shot one of the most memorable shots in the history of Ohio basketball.
Yeah, like you said, you never know when you're going to get your opportunity.
That's right.
Speaking of Jeff Teeters, let's get to that trivia question tonight. And he was part of our trivia question, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, Craig. Trivia question was, in 1985, who fouled out of that basketball game that allowed Coach Jerry Harmon to put Jeff Teeters into the basketball game? Was it Keith Dosek, Tony Meyer, Brian Scoggins, or Sean Lenhart?
All right, well, we saw Scoggins get the rebound there, and I think Lenhart might have been the one that passed it to him. I thought Dosek and Meyer were two starting guards that fouled out. I want to go back to the sound room, though, and see if the guys can get any answers off the Fish Report telemetrics. Guys, you got anything for me?
Yeah, we do. I can remember where I was. I was jumping up and down in my basement when he hit the shot, and I reflect back on it and wonder why I was doing that, but it was about the excitement of the game in Shelby County basketball. But Fish Report telemetrics says Tony Meyer.
Tony Meyer. That was going to be my guess. I actually emailed with Tony. I'll tell you a real quick story. Emailed with Tony the other day, asked him if he had any video of that shot. He says, I actually do. He says, believe it or not, I don't carry it around in my back pocket. He says, I'd have to go looking for it. So the video we got wasn't from Tony. It was something we stole off YouTube. It was a little grainy there, so hopefully it showed up on your monitor there. But, Ken, my answer is going to be Tony Meyer.
Tony Meyer is the correct answer, and you're right. Keith Dosek did foul out of the game earlier. Tony Meyer fouled out of the game there, and Coach Harmon put in Jeff Teeters, and like they say, Craig, the rest was history.
That's right. All right, well, listen, that's going to do it for our show tonight. That's going to do it for our winter sports season. Ken and I and the crew back there, we're all going to be joining you in the 1st of April. We're going to take a couple weeks off, then we're going to start talking some spring sports. So until then, everyone have a great next couple weeks, and we'll see you soon.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news and high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the